Okay. Not what I wanted to start. Stuff arrived for Thanksgiving, so I had to get that in the house. Loki, go sit down. No, go sit down. Go sit down. No. No, 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 no. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. So, more failure. So, I have been trying all weekend. I mean, okay, first fair. I've been trying for about well over 10 hours of my weekend to try and figure this out. Like, what is going wrong? Why is this not working? So let's start. Let's do pulling me up. Get that running. What a headache. So we get pulling me up. This is working pretty much without a problem now. We get the SQL server there. I'd be happy to see a SQL failure at this point. I'd be happy to see, oh, the server, the table's not there, the database isn't there, whatever. That'd be sweet relief at this point. However, what we see is we see this where it goes this. Now I have modified the image to output. I'll show you that in a second. I have modified the image to output the connection string that's been given. So I can definitely confirm that the good morning, Walline. How are you doing? So I am outputting. I modified the quiz guy to console write the connection string of tenants to validate that it's getting this far, and push the image with that modification in. So the first thing it does is this. We register 4 endpoints, and then we get the unhandled a network related exception. Much better. It took a while, but I finally started feeling better late yesterday. Oh wow! So you have a rough weekend. That pancetta must have been bad. So, by the way, following your steps to getting Restream up and running has worked every time since. So it's the I go into Twitch, I configure that. I go into YouTube, I edit, I go live, I edit, I set that up, I save, then I open Restream Bot, and then I add the event, and everything works fine. If I open OBS first or whatever, that always seems to screw things up. So we are we have a process now. Thank you. So verify the instance name is correct and the SQL Server is configured to allow remote connections. So I don't see how this is wrong. This is the correct name in the correct namespace. Yeah, I remember just having a piece that just didn't taste right. Yeah, it happens. Like, I doubt that's going to do anything because it's not even communicating with this. The connection string's not bad. So yeah. So tenant management program line 82. Yeah, it's configuring the SQL Server outbox that's going wrong. So it's trying to connect. Hold on. It's not that one that it's failing on. Domain.outbox is the SQL Server outbox because no, it's domain. Yeah, it is. It's domain.outbox because Kafka.outbox is separate, but can confirm they are going to be exactly the same. But let's validate. So I did do domain.outbox. There you go. It's the same connection, same password. I did do this where it's going to replace with environment variables. So I did the env from just to validate. Obviously that's working because it's not even in this connection. The connection strings aren't even in this app settings now. After a conversation with Mojo, I figured this was a way to go because then we can that can actually be configured elsewhere as well. But I don't see any difference there. I don't see anything that is in the slightest bit different. They're meant to be the same, by the way. Right now, there's 100% meant to be the same. What I'd like to do eventually is have the domain outbox and Kafka outbox be able to support a completely different database. So I'm at a loss. What I've tried. So there was some suggestion that the network side of things on the stateful set were a problem because the stateful set behaves slightly differently. However, I tried those things and they did not yield any different results. So one of the suggestions was because it's a stateful set, removing the cluster IP and basically doing cluster IP none, which means that it'll return an IP address directly of the pod, which is fine. I mean, it can do that. I don't have an issue. I did get it working initially with the service. I know that much. And being that there's only one-to-one, and I only intended to be one-to-one, this shouldn't actually matter because the cluster is going to hand me the basically a straight through connection, right? So there should be no problem there. I also tried a network policy. Some suggestion that network policy creates an issue, but I couldn't. So I went through that, but I couldn't quite figure out if that was going to do anything. I don't want to restrict traffic either. I want to be open. So figuring out by default is the network policy permissive or restrictive? is probably the next piece to go to. But again, I did have this working. I had it creating the service was working without any of this extra stuff. Most of this appeared when I started using stateful sets. So stateful is a stateful set, is a stateful set network policy, permissive or restrictive. So what I want to find out is, does it by default block yeah. But I don't care about. Yes, I care about refining that and understanding that later. That's a very important thing. You don't want to be able to say every pod can access every pod, because then you can give the keys to the kingdom if someone can get into even one pod. So you do want to be restrictive. Overly restrictive can hinder the operation. Essential communicate, ensure that stateful set can communicate with the necessary services and other pods within the stateful set itself. Least privilege principle, grant only minimum permissions, regular review. Yeah. So this says ingress and egress from this pod. Well, I'd only need ingress into the SQL thing. From pod selector. Now, this is where this gets interesting, because it basically tenant management would be there, and egress too, etc. So let's try that again. I did try it, but let's be sure. So to do that, I'm going to create a const network policy equals, yeah, that's that. So, okay. Metadata spec match labels. So in their example, they have match labels for the namespace. So, but the pod selector is on names, pod selector match labels app my stateful set, but I don't want to have my stateful set access as well. Match labels. So we're going to do that, and then app ls tenant management. Const. And then I think, so we can do from net tenant management. Because I can see that connection string appear in the document, in the output, I really do believe that it is a configuration issue on this side that's preventing the access. I don't know how to validate that. I can install BusyBox, but BusyBox, I can see the namespace, so I don't see any issues. But I don't. One thing it doesn't do is the ping just sits there. It doesn't respond. So it's not like it's actually continually pinging it. It just sits there. So I don't know whether that's timing out or whatever, but there's no debugging underneath that. There's no, hey, it's actually trying, you can't see from both sides. So let's bring that up again. Pulumi up -y. Oh, hold on. This needs to have a little bit of name, ls, SQL Server Network Policy. Namespace is namespace. Let's do parent is namespace. depends on service. I'm trying to get a little bit better at those ordering things. Pulumi up dash Y. So at this point, what I'm trying to do is learn how to debug the communication effectively. I did take the suggestion, like I said, of looking at BusyBox last week, and I got there's a string that a connection I can use to bring up a BusyBox container that shuts down afterwards. And it works. It does ping. The NS lookup works fine on the system. So I don't know, but I'm not trying to communicate with it through SQL. Duka, hello, how you doing? How are things? So we'll see this crashing almost immediately. So you see the connection strings there, LS SQL Server. F4 Snabble. Right. Network related infant. There we go. It's already down. So configuration, like understanding how, like if it's matched any rules or it's failed to match any rules would be good. We have the SQL service that finds their network policies. There's our SQL Server network policy. IP block namespace pod selector app ls tenant management is allowed ingress. I don't know what I'm missing. And I've spent so many hours on this. I've walked away from it. I've come back to it. I've taken the appropriate breaks. So basically what I'm saying is, okay, the selector, this should have ingress into this. That's what that network policy should be setting up, right? Which is fine. Now again, all I'm validating is that this connection, when I see the output, by the way, all that's really doing is validating to me that the the tenant's connection string is valid. The others are hard coded and they're the exact same. So this is the actual app. So domain.outbot. So if that's working, I have no reason to believe that those aren't working, right? Unless that causes a problem. But no, because that would have failed. That wouldn't have failed in this instance, and it was failing in this instance. So I don't think that is causing a problem. So let me bring up the BusyBox thing. Where are you? Where are you, Ryan? Where are you? So I did come across. I'll drag this off because it's going to be a bright white screen. Oh, that's debug services, debug stateful set. Well, I'm not debugging the stateful set technically. Okay, so I can run this command. So that puts me in to there. And now what that does is it creates a pod, I believe. There's a BusyBox pod, right, in the default namespace. So from here, if I do ns lookup, ls SQL service dot ls storage dot svc.cluster.local, I get an address back, right? So it resolves that. If I do ping ls equal service.ls storage dot, it just sits there. And I don't know if that's correct. Ping from busybots just sits there. Well, no, that should return, shouldn't it? Because that should reply with. Because that should come back with the packets. K8S. Ping's not actually working there, is it? So again, what I want to see is logs, but I don't have any kubectl get logs. Kubectl logs dash pod. So if I do a logs on the tenant management, it's going to say nothing. Can I do logs on us? No, because it says service pod name. How do I validate that connectivity? Is pretty much the question I need to answer, right? I need to know, how do I validate that communication is stopping at this point, or it's stopping at this point, or it's being stopped here at the SQL Server 0. Ah, that's interesting. So this is because I've got stateful set, I assume. By the way, this is working. I've been in there multiple times. I've seen the database. I don't believe that that's failing, but I have read that if you have, just because you can connect through a port forward doesn't mean it's going to work internally, because it's different rules. Because you are explicitly forwarding the port, which means that you're bypassing any ingress rules, it looks like. See, that ping is not working, is it? So NS lookup does resolve, but ping does not. So what if I can't ping the service? Service health checks, network policies, cluster networking, Kubernetes logs. Right, but that's not, the problem is not that wide. Right. So all this is going to do is keep pulling the image and building tenant management. It's not going to tell me, it does not tell me anything more than what I know. Big worry right now is it going to be something really simple that I've just overlooked or a name somewhere, but I've gone through this multiple times. ls SQL service dot ls storage dot svc dot local dot cluster dot local 1433. Still not found on BusyBox. Okay. Um, no, that's just timing out. So ns lookup ls SQL service dot ls storage dot cluster dot svc dot cluster dot local. That's 10 11 10 111238. Yep, that's that IP address. So it can solve that part, which means in theory it should be able to get through here and get to the actual service. Ping 1032.0.11. Hold on, let me do something else. Let's get another pod. Can I ping RabbitMQ, say? Ping 1032.0.7. No, so the behavior is not necessarily. Can I put busybots in a namespace? And yes, I can. Okay. So ping ls SQL service. So that resolves fine. Okay, so let's exit that. So now let's put that into ls tenant management. Okay, so we're starting the busybots up in tenant management now. Okay, so now if we do an ns lookup, ls SQL service, that's fine. Dot ls storage dot svc dot cluster dot local. That's fine. Ping. Again, I'm kind of in the same position. Find a game I enjoy, Lone Star. Is that a newer game or an older game? Strategic roguelike? Yes. Playing Eve while I been tearing my hair out with this over the weekend. I'll get this. I don't understand why this is failing. I don't. So I can put the busybots in here, but ping 10.32.0.11, but ping just sits there. Ping doesn't reply. Should ping reply in K8S? Have I done something to limit the? You should be able to ping a specific pod, but not a service. Okay. So ping SQL server 0 dot ls storage dot ns, because it's a service that you ping. You can't ping a service, you can curl it. Oh my goodness me, there's like okay, so okay, I suppose the Kubernetes docs did not guide me to ping it, so that's a thing. So the deployment pods are running. You can also confirm your pods are serving. So this is exactly what this tool headlamp is giving me this information basically. Does the service exist? Okay, hold on. From a pod in the same namespace, NS lookup. From a pod in a different namespace. That's fine. Does any service work by DNS name? Yeah, but I mean this is working, right? So if we do well, if we do exit, okay. That should have shut down that busy box, yeah. So if we do kubectl exec dash it, actually, let's do it this way. I have another way of doing this, right? Terminal exec. Okay, so now I'm on the terminal. So cat etcresolve.com. There you go. ls storage to svc cluster local. There's our name server. Yep, that's fine. Yep. If the above still fails, assume you've confirmed that DNS works. The next thing to test is whether the service works by its IP address from a pod in your cluster. Access the service's IP from. Right, but that's not. Is the service defined correctly? Is the service port you're trying to access listed in ports? Yes, it is. I'll validate. This is a target port, correct? Yes. If you meant to use a numeric port, if you meant to use a name port, do your pods expose a port with the same name? Is that? No, that's not the problem. So I'm getting to that point where I'm basically, I probably want to remove that name as well because I do have a name on. That's fine. It's on this side that I don't want a name, I think. So yeah, I'm at that point where I pretty much am certain I've probably changed something past where I need to be, but I don't think that's okay, named ports not happening. Okay, so let's do this. Pulumi up dash Y. That'll bring down. It'll delete um, the network policy, and it will create the. Oh, it'll update the stateful set or the service rather. I don't get it. I don't get why. I had it working, and I don't know why I don't have it working anymore. So, stateful SQL Server, that's fine. It doesn't, at this point, this doesn't actually make that much of a difference. I can communicate with the SQL Server through port forwarding. That's fine. Oh, there you go. We started. Like, I'd just be happy for a different error at this point. Um, Worst morning ever. Forget grocery store. Forgot to get coffee. Ooh, ooh. You want to fix that real quick? There you go. There's a failure. Yeah, restart. We bitterly forgot that. I did get one cup. Okay, so you have had a coffee, but you need more coffee. Okay. So this doesn't matter. Definitely the correct connection string. I'm definitely using SQL Server. Sign me out of Docker, did we? Awesome. I didn't think named ports would be the problem, by the way. It was like just cleaning that up so I don't leave it outlying. Does the service have any endpoints? Yes, it does. I can see them. Are the pods working? You know your service exists and I selected your pods. At the beginning of this walkthrough, you verify the pods themselves. Let's check again that the pods are actually working. You can bypass the service mechanism and go. Okay, so so the pods were running. Is the kube proxy running? Yeah. Hold on. The one thing I haven't done in days. Hold on. They are. Yeah. This machine was restarted when I started struggling last week. It was actually switched off. So I don't believe what I'm about to do is going to do anything. Okay. Give that a minute to restart. So the reason I'm persevering is because I don't want to figure out a different path. I don't want to switch away and try and do something else. And I could go off and continue some development or something, right? But my goal from the beginning of this was to not deviate from the configuration and deployment of the application, because if I can get this working, I can let you guys tinker with it if you want to. I can just bring it up, shut it down, delete it all, start again, let people kind of play with it, see if they see the ideas there, if they have any feelings once they actually get to work in it. Um, it will be helpful. If I just go off and try a different way of doing the deployment, or if I go off and change my mind entirely, like, okay, well, yeah, I'll change the way the app works or whatever. I'm not going to learn anything from that. And when I started this process, I was determined to share the process, success or failure. Because last time I took 3 months off, I stopped streaming entirely, and 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 went silent. And I don't want to do that again, right? Because as productive as that was, I got it up and running, and I had some moments like this where things weren't working, and I had no idea why. Right? As productive as it was, um, I'm not hiding it this time, including the struggles. You're probably closer than you realize. That's my suspicion, to be honest. I think I'm like I am getting a handle on things, learning how to debug things. I'm sharing, that process, but it's just enough now. I could I could really do with some success. Okay, so the system's back up. Yes. That is not untrue. Blew me up, that's why. What I've got to be careful of is that I don't do too much to change everything at once and have it work, because then I won't trust myself to recreate it or whatever. I'll have to keep an eye on um, how I do it. I have no expectation this is going to do anything different, by the way. But there's always the hope, right? And it's errored immediately. Oh, there we go. Oh, That's the worst case scenario. That worked. That's the worst case scenario. So that's failing, but it's failing for a different reason. And now it's failing for something that I don't want it to restart over. So what it's doing now, so let's just show you that. Okay, so this should work. There you go. There's my tables. Kafka messaging out bots, notification out bots. It ran. This worked. Where it failed was the console service didn't start properly, or there's a issue with the console service. So the failure now. Oh, I know what the failure is. Okay. I don't think port forwarding works for this properly. Network services, console service, 85. This does not work at all. I don't know why this doesn't work. Do you take extra vacation time for Thanksgiving? No, no, just uh, Thursday and Friday off. Stream Thursday morning, probably. Probably Friday morning for a longer stream. Although it depends on how much cooking I've got to do, suppose. So we'll think about that on Thursday. Okay, so what we need to do is well, so cooking when there's just a few of us is fine. It's just more my plans and how I'm arranging the time and stuff. So I'll probably end up preparing everything on Wednesday evening because I think we get out of work a little early. Okay, so what I'm going to do right this second. So the failure. Let me explain the failure. And this is where we might actually end up in a all the SQL stuff worked then. I have no idea why a restart fixed it. That should not happen, right? There's no way that should cause any difference in behavior on the Kubernetes cluster, right? But we're going to go with it for now. We're going to just say, okay, it's all good. It reset. Where it's failing now is it's trying to read the dictionary from um, it's trying to read the dictionary of Kafka topics from console, but console is a fresh set. So yeah, now I've pretty much got to do the same thing with console or figure out um a way. I've either got to create a stateful set for console, get it all in there so that it restarts, or just accept that the service is going to fail until I update console every time I restart the cluster. But that's fine. Restart always was the best, I should say. Just reschedule, reboot the kit. But those sorts of that solution is more annoying than being stuck on the problem to me. Yes, I can move forward, but now I don't know why that worked, and I don't know if anything I've done previously would have worked. So now, was that just the fact that there was just old network stuff lying around, and this would work on a fresh cluster? I don't know until I try that. So no, he's not necessarily a troll. Is those are things that people do, and it's just a kind of we shouldn't have to do that, right? I get it. I'm not. Yeah, I think it's an anti-ban to not restart. So, well, I think timed. Um, timely restarts of your systems. 100% agreed. When you're building a system, you should always build into it an expectation that it will be unavailable for a time window. You should always give yourself a maintenance window, and you should always do, yeah. And if you've been working with Windows servers for any amount of time, you pretty much know that that's a necessity. Yeah. Real life systems take a long time to why should be deployed more often. Yeah. The bigger the pain, the more frequently you want to. But that's why I'm doing this piece, by the way. I'm doing that so that this pain is not a pain. It's an understood challenge. The challenges are understood. The things that are easy to miss are understood, and we kind of solve that. So ultimately, what I want to do is inject some information into console here. So what I need to do is get. Is this in ls console? Yeah. Pods and ls console. kubectl port forward. I don't think this one works. 8500 and ls console. Okay, maybe it does. Okay, so oh crap. No, that's not gonna work. I need to do 85 25 or something like that. Localhost 85 25. So you see this now. Oh, that's not. Oh yeah. No, that's not right. We'll find out. Kafka configuration, and then we take that from here. So now what should happen is when that workload restarts again, when that crash loop happens again. Anyway, off to work. Take care, Dota. Thank you very much for stopping by. May your coffee be a good one. So what we're looking for is this pod to restart again. And when it restarts, it should pick it up. I can prompt that a little quicker, but no, I can delete the pod. Because there's a deployment set, there's an expectation of things being there. Okay, so there you go. Okay, so RabbitMQ client failing is not a challenge. Connection failed. RabbitMQ service, ls service bus, svc cluster.local. We'll worry about that later. But there we go. So technically, we do have a system up and running with tenant management. So what we need to do there is we need to go and look at console over here. And yeah, there you go. I see a save server1.json. Do I just map config? But I need to make that a stateful set as well, so that once I do it, it doesn't disappear every time I restart, so that I don't have to keep doing that. Otherwise, every time I bring the services up, it's all going to fail. So let's go over here. Git status, git add. That is still the worst possible outcome. I am going to try and create some sort of dictionary of lookup stuff so that I can actually build all this stuff. But I'm gonna hold off on that for right a second. Git add, git commit -m working stateful set for SQL Server. I don't think I actually have it remotely pushed yet, do I? So let's worry about that later. Okay. That's an interesting challenge. Maybe that was a leftover because of the previous deployment or something, and restarting just refreshed it all. We're going to go with that for now. But there you go. There's tenant management registered, and that knows it's alive. Okay. And yes, I know there's a service discovery and stuff inside of Kubernetes. Sorry. Mr. Jones, good afternoon. How you doing? You'd be pleased to know I did not end up putting the SQL Server in the same deployment. Okay. Trying to think about what I need to do next. What should I focus on next? I probably should figure the client part out. So next part is client side. This is where it's going to get interesting, because I'm actually thinking that, no, we just need build site. I'm actually thinking that, kinda, yeah. So we got the SQL Server running, and got the tenant management is starting up now and connecting to those things. So it's actually communicating. So it's pulling its outbots and stuff. It's pulling the tenant. It's pulling the Kafka configuration from here. So this is what sets the specifications up. The topics. It pulls its configuration from there on startup. So that's kind of working. There's a whole lot more to do. But I'm thinking if I can get the client up and running, and that's a big if right this second. That is what that config map is, the Cloudflare config map. So let's do this. Let's start the client up. Pulumi up -y. So this should start now. The client's in there. This should just add the client in there, and the tunnel. Oh, the tunnel. This is going to be its own set of challenges now. Okay. Shouldn't you have? Oh, there we go. I was going to say, shouldn't you be creating a lot of stuff? So I do have 2 instances of the tunnel running. Come on. I'm hoping some of this will get easier once I've kind of got used to. Okay, that's fine. That can go ahead and do what it's going to do. So I want to connect to the deployment because I want to see what is in this directory. Tunnel things. That's interesting. Console has the same directories. That's might end up doing something the same with console later to protect it. Pod ls client. Containers with unreachable. My feeling is the unready state. Okay. I've got a feeling the tunnel stuff is not configured. The Cloudflare system is probably not. The key's probably expired. But anyway, that's not for now. So what I'm looking for here is I am looking for hot, no, hot, no. Where does Nginx run from? So when we configure the workflow, oh no, wrong project. Here's the project for this. This does have a Docker file. This package is a production. What I'm looking for to see is if the Nginx runs from one of the hoodex. What I'm looking for is to see if that file exists. So then I can map that file and change out the service. Although, no, because the production configuration doesn't matter to the client. Oh, dang. I'm thinking of this as a kind of right environment file, right? I'm thinking of it like this when it's more like um uh liquid sky dot software. It's more like that, isn't it? And we got to figure out. I mean, right now I'm going to put everything under the. That's true. Okay. Let's do this. Source. Yeah. Create production deployment environment. File for client. Commit and push. This should create a new client ng for us to pull anyway. And I think it's set to pull every time. So basically, if I delete always pull. So once I'm happy that the image is there, if I just delete the pod, it should recreate the thing. But anyway, while I'm waiting for that, what I was looking for there, come on, Sol, and don't start screwing up on this side as well, was uh, uh, cd var ls CD bin. No, it won't be binned. Where is... Okay, let's go back to that Docker file. So app dist liquid sky browser goes to user share. Okay, so cd user share nginx cd html So yeah, it combines all that. That's interesting. CD assets, which kind of makes sense. It's a compiled thing, right? That's interesting that the CSS are in both though. Uh, so the configuration gets bundled into there. Yeah, they never finished. So that's awesome. Pulumi down. So what failed there? So ls client deployment failed. Okay, on the other system, on the other screen, I'm going to go to Cloudflare. Make sure everything's set up correctly there. So the only thing I can think right this second is that the either the tunnel is disabled because of for some reason, or I have not started something I need to start on the Kubernetes machine, which would be bad. Security network. Actually, I can test that. 8525. We don't need anymore. SSH. PS MyCF. Back to grab. Nope, nothing running. No Cloudflare service running. How do I find out if a service exists? System CTL help. System CTL list units. List units. Nope, that's just devices. List units. --full --all back to grep fq Cloudflare. Nope. Right, but that's not. Unable to find config file. Like, I wonder if I'm not running the service is what I'm. Like, I think I have to run something on the host machine. So I can do sudo cloud flat tunnel help sudo cloud flat tunnel list. No, it should just be a list, shouldn't it? There you go. There's a tunnel. So info there does not have any active connection. So if we do Pulumi, figure a tunnel. Okay, so there is a service. Glad tunnel run. Oh no, okay, so there we go. So now if I do go over here and do Pulumi up. Yes. Radio Patrick, yeah. I mean, I think he might be moving already. I haven't seen him in a little while. I hope he's he was having to he wanted to get a move on, right? Yeah. Hopefully get back to streaming once he settles in and gets his job underway. Yeah. Exciting times. So this is the tunnel, but I think you see this registered tunnel connection. I think these are also the tunnel, right? These are the tunnel deployments, right? So yeah, these are tunnels. So container creating. Why are you stuck on container creating? Okay, here we go. This is where it's gonna get pulling me down because now we are back in the world of Does it come back when I restart it? I truly believe that when this is up and running properly, this will be nice and just no, I don't. No, I can't honestly say that because I don't think it'll be fire and forget. I think every now and then I'm going to try and start this up, and it's going to go. No, this is broken today. No, this is broken today. I think that's what it's going to do to me. I think I'm going to routinely get failure. As much as I don't want that, I think that's what it's going to do to me. Sorry, I'm just checking on something. Hmm. Um, Starting the day with a horrible headache is not fun. Just continually. Yeah, if you want to see successful streamers, Thindle is also a .NET developer, and I mean, I am a .NET developer. Honestly, I am. He's been working on um, Blazor of late, right? Working on tinkering with Blazor, which you will not find on this stream anymore, or at least for a while. Why is this breaking now? I don't know why this is breaking now. Let's bring that back down to one replica so I don't have to fight that. LS tunnel. So this should deploy the tunnel. So the thing I just ran on the application. Yeah, trying to write some SourceGen stuff akin to what's in the MVVM community toolkit for observable properties. Yes, that's what you're looking at on Friday. So this is cloud flood tunnel, cloud flood tunnel, and then secret names, CTLs. That's interesting, but that's fine. Client deployment does not have state, so that's fine. Config YAML, client side config map. Go. Pulumi. So I've changed nothing there, so I don't know why the tunnel will not work now. The config map is just credentials. This file here, this credentials file that it pulls, that is going to pull from here. That's going to be creds. Now I've already created those credentials on the machine, I believe. Cat, cloudflare.yaml. No, that's for running here. Yeah, so that's the secret in there. So it's going to pull this file. I believe. Tunnel credentials is what that ends up in, I think. Secret name, tunnel credentials. Secret. Oh, that's not right. That's why. No. Secret name, tunnel credentials. Secret name, tunnel credentials. Where are you then? Is there no secret for... Who am I? What am I doing now? Oh dear. What have I screwed up? Okay. One thing I'm learning, service comes before deployment. Pretty much a rule. Deployment. There is no, so configuration, secret, security. No, configuration, secrets. Here you go. Tunnel credentials. Okay, so there's the tunnel credentials. Right, okay. Okay, that's fine. So tunnel credentials is that secret. Okay, that's good. However, we're in a different namespace. Does that need to be specified? Does that need to be default tunnel credentials? Because initially I don't think we were in a namespace. I think namespaces are something I started adding after the fact. Maybe. Let's have a look. Do K8S do secrets require namespace prefix. Oh, secrets can't exist in different namespaces, can they? Secret API objects reside in a namespace. They can only be referenced by pods in that same namespace. Oh dear. So that won't work. That's probably why that's failing. How did I create tunnel credentials though? That's the challenge. Okay. I know I flashed it up before, but I need to recreate them. So let's go. Okay, space ls. They are running in client ng. I think they are, yeah. Security configuration. So that's that. That's that. ls client ng, recreate that. Failed to create secret. Oh no. That made it worse. Now I've got to figure out why those credentials do not exist in that namespace. So I've got to figure out, and again, I do apologize, but I cannot necessarily show this. Did I create any links? I did not. So Cloudflare should tell me how to do this. I just got to figure out file structure for public host names. So the tunnel configuration file allows you to have fine-grained control, exposing a private network, warp routing, supported. Da, 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 da. I didn't see Saga live this weekend. Normally he does. But I need to interesting to follow up on momentous. Create a tunnel. I've got a feeling I create this secret from I don't want that's just setting up the Cloudflare tunnel on Linux. K8S. I need to configure the secret. Okay. Sorry, just putting something out. Okay. Hey, speak of the devil. Morning, Patrick. How you doing? We were just talking about you. One line shouted you out, and we're wondering if you were traveling yet. How that was going. Development for me goes slowly because I'm trying to get this Kubernetes thing still working, and it's driving me insane. Right now, I've just deleted my secrets file. This tunnel credentials, and I'm trying to figure out where I created it from in the first place because I thought I knew and I don't. Set up. So hold on, did I copy and paste? No, I didn't. So what I'm trying to find is where do I configure so I need the tunnel credentials to come from secret. K8S. Good up. Stateful area in Utah, Saturday night. Nice. Nice time to find an apartment. Ooh. Well, I hope that's an easier thing to do. How's the weather there? And was the drive fun? AS, Cloudflare, tunnel, setup, credentials. It's not that though. This entire project has been one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And I get it. I'm learning. I'm doing stuff that is not new, that is all new to me for the most part. I now got to wait for my browser to come back. Hoping that that's not affecting the stream. Cold is starting to flurry overnight, but it's not the same blustery cold I'm used to during the day. It's chilly, but there isn't really a wind to go with it. Huh. My browser has completely locked up. Awesome. Task manager, not that. Ooh, that's fun. Go. 74 tabs, 5.5 gig. Should be fine. What's the worst that happens? It's gone. It's just gone. I have no idea if the stream's working. So do you start today? The job start today? Or are you you got a little while yet? Start second. Nice. Okay, so you start next week. So you're gonna spend Thanksgiving. Oh. Your other half joined you, right? For this adventure. I think he said. Not meaning to pry. I apologize if I'm prying. I'm just chatting while I'm waiting for DuckDuckGo to come back. So I do apologize. That's a little bit too personal. But I mean, I've moved countries, but that was a whole different challenge. I'm not sure I would move across the country for another job. That's for a job. Yeah, but I was never really one for family holidays. The girlfriend will be joining me eventually, yes. Okay. Sorry to pry. I asked and I was like, no, too personal. This machine is not coming back to me. That's not a good sign. When DuckDuckGo locks up That's even more worrying because my screen says uh my screen says that DuckDuckGo is still there and frozen, as you can see here. But Windows thinks it's not there anymore. Well, I guess we're not doing that right now. I moved states 4 times over the past 15 years. That's fun to remember. Good jobs. I mean, my wife's pretty anchored here, and I kind of like working remote. The remote work with the travel every now and then is not bad. So, but who knows what the future will bring. Okay, well, let me summarize, and then unfortunately I'm gonna have to shut down, so I can't raid out. I don't know who's in the stream or whatever. So the goal was to get the client connected, realize that the client is actually going to connect through the URL, right? Because the client is actually um, uh, um, the client is on the website, right? So it's going to use the public URL to communicate back to the server, and the server is going to route the traffic to the actual API gateway. So the Kubernetes server is going to handle that. So the tunnel will pick up all the load there. Um, I definitely love remote, but that didn't start until a few years ago. After the most recent move. Yeah, remote is there's some benefits. I mean, I know you're not the big team person that I am, but I definitely would like to collaborate more on software in person. I think it does do well for me. This has been a complete hassle. If I'm moving again, then I'm going to be single. Ouch. Well, I hope you get settled. I hope you. I mean, that says something for someone willing to move across the country with you. Because yeah, I that's a challenge. Moving is a challenge. Moving anywhere is a challenge, but moving in the US across states, yeah. Um, I think what I would do. So the client should connect. I just published an image of the client with the production thing. So what I wanted to see, um, um, what I wanted to see is that the client would start up and try and communicate to Liquid Sky software, right? Which means that the production configuration has built and is working. That means that then it's just a case of getting the back end set up, and we should be good. Because we can't change anything on the client as we do the deployment here, right? So the hope was get that up and running, verify that it gets there, then we can worry about the ingress rules, and we can figure out those pieces out, and then the client is communicating with the back end, and we start to build ever more, we creep ever more forward, right? Yes, most of the pets having two birds and a chinchilla isn't the same challenge as a dog or a cat. Yeah, I suppose that makes finding an apartment a challenge as well. Like if you own a house, that's a different thing, but to get settled, yeah, I would imagine that's quite the challenge. Two dogs snoring down beside me right this second. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to restart the machine. I'm going to try and figure out the documentation that I found originally that told me that I needed to do this, because being the special person that I am, I just deleted this tunnel credentials file without figuring out what it actually contained. Ultimately, it's the credentials file, right? But I think that it wasn't pulling that because I've probably changed all this namespacing, thinking I was being clever, right? Because secrets cannot be accessed across namespaces, and I've just moved this into a namespace. This was probably originally in the default. The tunnel was probably in the default, and maybe moving the namespace out was sufficient, because ultimately, this is a set of communication rules. So this might have actually worked without the tunnel being in the namespace of the client. So I guess we find out. But that is going to be me for today. I have to shut the stream down. I cannot raid out because I can't access a browser to do that. So I'm going to end early. I'm going to get this sorted out, and then I will be back tomorrow. Hopefully with more of this. Hopefully with more progress on this now. We did get over a hump. We got the SQL Server up and running and communicating, and the tenant management system working again. So yeah, feels a little bit better than when I started. So thanks. Oh, Radio Patrick, I am really glad to hear you got there safely, and good luck with that apartment hunting, and hope to hear from you again soon. And I'll see you all later. Take care, all. Thank you for joining me. Bye.